The consumers that have a whole lot of debt really are struggling to survive. They're struggling to meet rent or mortgage payments, repay college loans, to repay loans for a car. They're struggling because they've got enormous credit card debt.
When you have debt like student loan debt, credit card debt, it sucks because it can seem like all you do is work and give all of your money to the bank and you have nothing left. And if you do have some extra cash, what do you do with it? Because I'm sure you'd like to stretch that as far as you can, especially if you have kids. So here's your game plan on how to prioritize your money the right way so that you can increase your chances of being successful and stay debt-free. Now, some people say paying off your debt should be your first step. You've got to pay off your current debt or get your debt under control. Now, when I say under control, what I mean is that you have to have a goal and a plan in place to pay off your debt. For example, you are paying more than the minimum payment amount due each month so that by X date, the debt will be paid off. So you have a goal and a plan in place. Now, if you're watching this video and you have debt, I know how frustrating it can feel when people keep saying, you got to get out of debt, you got to get out of debt. Trust me, I've been there and I've felt the same way until I learned how to live within my means and how to budget and how to manage my paycheck the right way. And in fact, I did an entire video about how I manage my paycheck routine. So if you haven't seen that video yet, I'll put a link to that video in the description below. But friends, let me just say this real quick. There could be many different reasons why people get into debt. It could be because of poor financial decisions or because of life situations.
60% of American adults surveyed cited their level of debt as their main reason for financial anxiety.
Debt is rising every single day, and it is something that I can say is debilitating. For me, even with a master's degree and having experience out in the field for over 10 years, I've had to have at least 3 jobs in order to not live paycheck to paycheck.
I know of a single mom raising 2 kids on her own, all because her husband left home one day and decided he no longer wanted the responsibility of being a husband and a dad. So he left and never came back. It shattered their family, leaving her struggling with a mountain of debt. But she refused to give up. Through sleepless nights and long days, she sought knowledge, made sacrifices, and faced her debts head on. With each payment, she chipped away at the heavy financial burden that he left behind. Her story is one of strength and victory, showing that even in the darkest times, determination can overcome the highest challenges. Now, I know paying off debt doesn't happen overnight, and it can be an emotional journey. It took me well over 6 years for me to pay off the debt that I was in, and successful people don't become successful overnight. My success came from hard work, discipline, sacrifice, making mistakes, and learning from those mistakes. Things started to change for me when I realized that I was ultimately responsible for my own success. I don't know, maybe you disagree with me. Let me know in the comments below. All right, sorry for getting sidetracked there, so let's get back on point. So you can't truly be financially free or build wealth when you have bad debt like credit card debt. If you haven't seen my video yet about how to pay off your credit cards fast, I'll also put a link to that video in the description below. Now, some people say there should be a step between paying off your debt and investing, and that step is saving for an emergency in an emergency fund.
More and more Americans are not saving for emergencies. A recent survey shows about 30% of people do not have an emergency savings account.
Building an emergency fund can help you from having to go into debt. When you don't have an emergency fund and an unexpected expense comes up, you will most likely get back into debt. Once you paid off your debt in step 1, now that money that was put towards paying your debt can now be reallocated to building your emergency fund. To speed up the process, consider making some extra money on the side. So let me tell you what I've been doing these past couple of years. My mechanic was looking for somewhere to store some of his clothes, and in one of my guest rooms, the closet was empty, so we made a deal. I would store some of his clothes, and in exchange, he will not charge me for any work that was needed on my car. So I was saving money there. So think outside the box like that. If there's nowhere where you can make some extra money, maybe there are some areas where you could save money, and then you could take that money that you've saved and build up your emergency fund faster that way. So how much money do you need in an emergency savings account? Well, Some financial experts say that you need at least 3 to 6 months of your monthly living expenses. Some say 6 to 8 months, some say 12 months. An emergency fund is like a security blanket. It's supposed to make you feel safe and comfortable. Think about if you were to lose your main source of income for an extended period of time. How would you pay for your necessities such as food and shelter? If you were to unexpectedly lose your job, how long do you think it would take for you to get another job with a comparable salary? If you was not able to work due to a medical condition, where would you get money from to meet your basic needs for you and your family? So I'll let you think about that and you make your decision based on your own personal family situation. For me, my safe zone is 1 year's worth of monthly living expense. Now they say you need to complete step 1, which is paying off your debt, and step 2, which is building an emergency fund, before you can move on to step 3, which is investing. And this is how people build wealth.
How can someone who, we got no generational wealth, how can they get to that point?
Yeah. To get to generational wealth, so much has been said about it, right? It's such a simple concept. It's the 8th wonder of the world. It is compounding. Okay. And you can start, it's really just about starting. So listen, when you think about compounding, you think about it over time, the wealthiest investors, or maybe the most well-known wealthiest investors, the ones that are on the Forbes list, the ones that have done it in the financial markets, those investors are those who started small and just consistently compounded over time.
Now, when I was growing up, my parents had multiple jobs, but they never became rich and they never built wealth. My mother was a hard worker and a hustler, but she kept her money in a savings account, and that's not how you get rich. That's not how you build wealth. You have to invest. So where do you invest and what do you invest in? Well, the first place that you want to invest is in your employer's 401k retirement plan, at least up to your company's match. Next, if you have a high deductible medical plan, you want to look into see if you qualified for a health savings account, an HSA account, and invest within that account. This type of account offers a triple tax benefit. And if you have anything left over that you would like to invest with, you can open a taxable brokerage account. So what do you invest in? Well, if you are new to investing or you want to be hands-off, you want to be a passive investor, I would suggest investing in a low-cost index fund or exchange-traded funds, something similar to Vanguard's S&P 500, ticker VOO. VOO is designed to track the performance of the S&P 500 index, which includes 500 of the largest publicly traded companies in the United States. We are talking companies like Apple, Amazon, Meta, Google, Microsoft, etc. This is ideal for long-term investors, individuals who have a long-term investing horizon and want exposure to a broad range of large-cap stocks. If you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, it will probably be a good idea to have a larger percentage of this type of investment in your portfolio, but do your own research and make your own decision. Now, VOO is just one example of an exchange-traded fund that you can use to build wealth. There are other exchange-traded funds as well, and I'll make a separate video about those. So if you would like to learn more about managing your money effectively and investing to build wealth, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So here's my thought on whether you should pay off debt or invest and which you should do first. When it comes to managing your money to be financially successful, investing should be a priority, but it depends on your future goals and your risk tolerance. There are risks involved with investing and there are no guarantees. However, if you are young, have time on your side, and wanting a big lavish lifestyle in the future, the sooner you start investing, the better. Starting early is the best way of getting ahead on your journey to building wealth. You just need to educate yourself so you can make smart investing decisions. If this is you, maybe you pay the minimum required amount on your debts, you have a smaller emergency fund, and you also invest. This way, you are taking care of all three buckets. If you are someone who is less of a risk taker and like to live in the known as opposed to the unknown, you don't like giving your money to the bank in the form of interest payments, you want financial freedom from debt because this makes you sleep better at night, then you would want to make sure that you are paying off your debt first. And there you have it. In my opinion, there's no one right answer because what may be good for me may not be what's right for you. So you have to evaluate your current situation, your personality, and your future goals. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button and share it with someone you think needs to hear this.